Well, you mentioned the incredibly weak growth that Latin America has had over the past like 10, 15 years or so. I didn't quite appreciate how weak it has been relative to other emerging market regions. I mean, what do you think some of the factors are behind that? Obviously, there was the lost decade, then there was a whole sort of deregulation phase. What kind of happened over the last 10 to 15 years for it to be such a poor performance?
I think from a structural point of view, I can point to three driving factors. One is Latin America's infrastructure. Anywhere you want to look at institutionally, but also in terms of, the capital accumulation is very, very poor. There are also, of course, some exceptions, but in general, one can say that it's very hard for Latin America to compete against the rest of the world with such poor infrastructure. I mean, roads, harbors, financial infrastructure, and local markets, other ways of connectivities. That's one factor that's quite an obvious one. And that's been, if anything, sliding down in the wrong direction rather than picking up over the last few years. Secondly, I would argue more about human capital, not just physical capital, but human capital, education across the region. I can speak, for instance, in the name of my country. Argentina used to be the shining gem with regards to education for the best part of the last century. But that has deteriorated significantly, and not just Argentina, but the region as a whole. That creates, of course, massive scarcity of human capital. It creates immense problems of income distribution, and it creates also some political tensions that end up politicians are more pushed towards the short run and can never raise their heads to beyond that into the future. I think there's another ongoing trend, which is a demographic trend. Our population is aging much more rapidly than, say, Africa's or emerging Asia. And this is creating some tensions with the pension systems. Most of the fiscal problems that we've got are, to a larger extent, pension problems more than anything else. And therefore, the scarcity of the resources that are left to deal with the other elements of the equation that I've just mentioned. The outcome, if you will, looking at productivity over the last 15 years or so, whatever growth that has been in the region, it's been basically through more labor and very little through more productivity. In fact, these are numbers from a McKinsey report from a few years ago. If you take a period from the year 2000 to 2015, the region's total factor productivity run at around 0.6% per annum. That compares to more than 6% for Southeast Asia, 1.8% in Africa, and actually 0.9% in the developed world. So there's no way we're going to catch up if we can't quite be more productive on the margin than the guys we are supposed to catch up with.